Let's move on. Let's get into the story. On Easter, Zaya Wade, the daughter of Dwayne Wade and the stepdaughter of Gabrielle Union, had social media in a frenzy after posting a photo of her kissing her boyfriend, who was also transgender. Now, in the past, the Wades have received scrutiny because Zaya started to transition at a young age. Check out what reality TV personality, oh wow, Andrew Caldwell posted about the photo. I don't care about Zaya's preferences, but I do know if your daughter was 14, you wouldn't be pleased with her taking pictures of herself kissing her boyfriend at 14. Do y'all agree with Caldwell, or are people passing judgment because Zaya is transgender? Al, what do you think?
Please don't go to me first. Please don't go to me
okay,
first.
Q, what do you think?
You know what? I never thought in 10 billion years that I would ever agree with anything that come out of Mucinex mascot. I've been delivered, first lady of going to hell, Kojic Church, Andrew Caldwell would ever have to say. Upon me first seeing that, for me, and I'm gay flag number one, if you were raised in a traditional Black family, whether you was hunching or kissing or not, you was not kissing no boy or no girl on no picture. And family was seeing it, right? So that was the stance that I was prepared to come here and take tonight. I was prepared to look over and say, there's a whole section of the population, particularly the Black community, that I'm just gonna throw y'all in the garbage anyway, because whether she was 30 or 13, y'all were gonna have an issue with her because she was trans, right? Whenever I have a trans issue, I always reach out to two people. T.S. Madison, which is my good girlfriend, one of my best friends, and Hope, and trans activist Hope Giselle. And you know, Hope, of course, she went down the whole trans rabbit hole. But I'm gonna give y'all a point that Hope gave me that's gonna bring it home for all of y'all. Because I said, Hope, my issue is not that she's trans, my issue is that it's too grown, regardless of sexual orientation. And Hope said to me, I'm paraphrasing, she said, there is so much nuance here, but the idea of the traditional Black family needs to be rewritten. The thoughts about who we are and what we think is too much based on the sexes. And she goes on and on and on and on. And when she said the thought of the Black family and all those old school ways of thinking need to be rewritten, it brought me to this. The first time I ever performed oral sex on a man, I was 14 in rollerblades in a park behind a tree. He was a grown-ass white attorney lawyer. Why? I had no safe spaces. Some of y'all are on here so quick to want to judge and to go on and so forth, but you was the one getting mudded out at Vacation Bible School, and then you got kicked out of the church at 16 because you shamed your whole family. There are others of y'all who were 16 and 17 running to your big brothers trying to get abortion money. You see what I'm saying? Because you knocked up your 10th grade girlfriend, so on and so forth. So the whole concept of us needing to rewrite some of these old school ways of thinking is something worth exploring. Now, at 38 years old, it's a lot to ask me in 38 seconds to rewrite 38 years of indoctrination. I still, in this moment, feel like 14 is too grown to be kissing on a picture and displaying with the world. However, I'm at least open-minded enough to have the conversation about changing the way we think about things. Because let's face it, those old school ideals and church ways, did they really serve us for the good? And we were all doing it at that age. We just wasn't doing it on film.
Okay, Al, I'm interested to hear what you got to say about this. What do you think?
There's so many layers to this. First of all, I don't care if my old ways of thinking are good or bad. This has nothing to do with gender identity. This has nothing to do with sexuality. This doesn't have anything to do with this. This happens to do with a 14-year-old having suggestively kissing someone else on the internet. I just don't think that's right. I just honestly don't think it's right. That's number one. Number two, I don't think it's right for people, especially this young girl. She has been scrutinized and sexualized ever since she has come public about her trans identity. So that's a whole nother layer that just seems to me that as a parent, I would have protected. I wouldn't have allowed this out on the internet. at that age. I think anyone that's not able to operate a car with a license shouldn't be kissing suggestively on the internet, especially after you've been scrutinized and sexualized about your gender identity and your sexuality. And just, I don't know, maybe I am showing my age, but I just feel like as a parent, you still have to protect your child. And allowing your child at that young age, after all that she's been through with the scrutiny, with the sexualization that we've seen on the internet and all these sites about this young child, I just don't think that I would allow this to be placed out in the public and on the internet. And in the other layer of this, which is still a lot even to process for someone who wants to process it, is Zaya, right?
Zaya.
Zaya is a trans girl, meaning, she hasn't had the transition, right? So she used to be a boy, but she's now a trans girl. The young man that she's kissing is the same, correct?
No. She's a trans man, born a female.
She's a trans man, but she has not had the operation. So she technically is still have the women parts, but she's a trans male, meaning she used to be a girl, correct?
Correct.
So that is another layer of all of this that I'm still trying to get my head around. So I don't know. I just feel like this was completely inappropriate to be allowed on the internet. And that's without any identity, sexuality, or anything trans related to it.
But just for clarity, your issue is the fact that it was allowed on the internet.
Yeah, because I don't know, this child, she has been scrutinized from the top to the bottom about her choices and how she lives out her life. And then also all over the internet, she's been sexualized. I just don't know that I would allow her kissing suggestively on the internet.
Claudia, what do you
14 years old.
I feel like just because of the trans issue doesn't mean we make special allowances for them. I'm sorry. If we really want equality, then let's really be about equality. Let's not have a special set of rules because the girl's trans and we're not supposed to say certain things. I'm going to say it. Yes, it is true. A lot of us were messing around 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever years old. But when you put it on the internet, that brings a whole different thing into play. Now you got pedophiles looking at this stuff, maybe turned on by seeing 2 14-year-old kids. They could be looking at that like porn.
Right.
It wasn't porn. I'm not saying it's porn, but it's still 2 teenagers kissing in front of their parents. Second of all, there's a fine line between being supportive of Zaya and exploiting. And sometimes I feel like the lines are a little bit blurry when it comes to her and that family. I don't have kids, so y'all can. I don't have to remind me a million times in the chat that I don't have kids. I just feel like the child was scrutinized because the parents put her out there like this. And we would not have this material to even judge and talk about and be a topic on this show had it not been for the parents really pushing her forward like this. This is a child. Let this child get through those feelings that you have and work them out privately before they got to deal with the added pressure and support. There's also support as well, but the added scrutiny of all of us adults. I even feel weird talking about this. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, this is a 14-year-old kid that should, both of them, like, get through your little growing pains and do kissing like that. I would never do that.
I don't think there's anything wrong with them allowing them to kiss. Let's make sure we make this very clear. Allowing them to be affectionate with each other is not the issue here, regardless of their gender, regardless of their sexuality. It is allowing it on the internet is where I have the most problem.
And it's funny, and I'm glad you said that, because that is why I stopped and specifically asked that question, because I think there are going to be a lot of people who are going to hide their transphobia and their homophobia behind the argument of it being too grown, without realizing that many of us were doing the same thing at the same age. And I don't know if you guys are willing to divulge or if it's too personal, but I'll go first. I lost my virginity at 14 to a female. I was 14 years old. So what he, them are doing is in line with what teenagers do at their age But for me, much like Al, I had enough sense. I wasn't hugging up with nobody and posting the pictures in Big Mama house. That wasn't going down.
I was almost 18 when I lost my virginity. I'm gonna say this. We also got to be careful about having having an opinion on something when someone is involved that it's trans is transphobic. I was saying the same thing about Kylie Jenner at 15. Like, what the hell? Why are y'all okay with this? It's not cool. Let this girl.
And I know you would, but there's a whole section, especially the Black community, who are over there. And that girl could have been 33, and it's still going to be an issue. So I just want to make sure that we on this panel, we're clear and concise on what our issue is to make sure that, yes, we
absolutely. I think it, like I said, it would be any child. And you're right, Q, we were doing things like this when we were 14, but we were not on the internet. We got OnlyFans now. We got sex trafficking now that we got to be worried about. We have dirty old men and old women that take advantage of this type of access to these young kids, especially they're on Instagram and in their DM. You've got to protect these young kids as well as nurture them and be in their true selves. And that comes with boundaries and rules. And one of the rules for me, and will always be in my household, and any of my nephews and nieces that I raise, and even if I have a child one day, is that certain things just don't need to be exposed to everybody all over the country. And now, because of the internet and access to social media, all over the world.
And now you have your pictures online forever at you 14, tonguing somebody down in front of your parents.
And just a rhetorical question, Claudia, and I know we got to go to commercial break. Who are we, and how do y'all know what's better for them people, children?
Because I can tell you why.
We got to go to commercial right now. We got to go right now. Save it for when we come back. We got to go right now, according to the thing.
You know what? We'll pick this back up. We were going to get into Future being toxic, but he'll still be toxic on Friday. So we're Friday. So we're going to come back to this. This is a good conversation. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back to TeaGIF. We had a really spirited conversation before we went to break. Al, do you want to make any final thoughts on that before I go into this next story, this last story?
No, not really. All I wanted to say, he said, who are we? And, all I want to say is that I'm a grown man. And when that picture of me that we post in my underwear, at a tanning salon, the unsolicited stuff that I received as a grown man from all over, from all different types of people, was a lot to process. Can you only imagine what a 14-year-old is going to get in their DM and how they process that information, especially without the, the protection and the guardian of their parents? It's a lot.
I just want to make sure, as parents, uncles, adults, villagers, that we are not conferring our own fear on children who are part of a generation that we don't even truly understand. That's your fear. And now here's the thing, we were raised the same way. So I agree with you. But what if there's a world, what if they have prepared their child for what's going to come along with this? Is a very public family. And I think that Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union have enough sense to not put their child in danger and or jeopardy or give her.
It's not about them intentionally putting their child in danger and harm. Q. It's the unknown. You can't tell me that this 14-year-old is so in tune with themselves that they can handle all of these dirty people out here in the world. You just are not going to convince me of that.
But
that's why very smart young girls get caught in sex trafficking. It doesn't have anything to do with the rearing at home. It has to do with the play on their emotions. It has to do on the scare and the fear. Like it's not that cut and dry. And you can't say just because this child may be more advanced and can process this more. No, it's a 14-year-old.
Not to mention, this is not Gabrielle Union's biological child. What's her mother got to say?
You know what? Right. We need to get that other lady, Zaya Mama. Zaya, I know you got for some press. Let's get her on TeaGIF.
Like, how does Zaya's mom feel about this? Like,
and Siobhan would love to talk. She's looking for a platform. Y'all dropping our DMs and give us Siobhan's number or how we can follow her on social media. So we'll get her on the line.
You know, I think that would be a great, great idea.
To have on the line too.
We would love to have you on and talk about having a trans child and see what your feelings are. A trans child being raised in a household that you're not in.
Y'all tag Siobhan.
And also all the attention that she as a mother and the anxiety that she has to manage all this public attention that this, you know, that her husband, her ex and new wife is given.
Y'all make that happen sooner than later. Soulmates, y'all tag Siobhan, tag us, tag FOXSOUL, so we can make this happen.
All right, y'all. I want to thank my fantastic co-host, Al Reynolds and Funky Dineva, and that bottle of Sky Vodka for joining us, who was the fourth co-host. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for Turned Out with T.S. Madison. We'll see you on Friday with some toxic talk about future. See you then. Bye, y'all.
Good night, Zaya.